My name is Dr. Stephen Jurd. I'm here doing this usual session at the Sydney Retreat to help you to understand the conundrum, the weird question of how can my illness be a physical one? So we do 4 sessions. The first one is about the reward pathway. The second one is about genetics. And so the third one that we're due to do today, it's about evolution. And the fourth one is about recovery. The reason why I do these talks is to help you to understand the doctor's opinion. You're in here and you're studying the AA literature. And right at the front of the AA Big Book, there's the doctor's opinion. And so I'm a doctor. And I've got an opinion too. But the advantage I have is that my opinion is in 2022. So I'm in touch with a lot of the science that's been developed since Dr. Silkworth said it's not only a mental but it's a physical thing. I suggest it's like an allergy. Like many good doctors, he watched his patients closely and he tried to distinguish, well, that person isn't emotionally stable. That person isn't emotionally stable. You can see why they might have had that relapse and these things were happening in the background or their bipolar disorder was playing up. But he said, it doesn't fully explain it. There's something else going on. It's like some people, when they interact with alcohol, something happens. Something weird and physical. It's a physical reaction. That's what he's saying. That was his opinion. Since 1938, when he wrote that piece, there's been a lot of stuff discovered. And so we've talked about the reward pathway. We've talked about genetics. We'll talk about recovery next week. Today we're talking about evolution. Why do I talk about evolution? We're talking about the brain. So that our brain is related to the lower levels of animal. Okay, in the same way as our hand, this amazing device, the opposable thumb that can grip and that can click its fingers and can make different gestures, all of that started off with what we doctors call the pentadactyl limb, 5 digits. Reptiles have got that. Reptiles have got 5 fingers, 5 toes, on each of their 4 feet. But they're not very good. Not very smart. You couldn't make a tool with it. Elephants have got digits, but they're not clicking their fingers, are they? No. So that's evolved to be like this. But it has to start from somewhere. And little by little by little by little it changes. And so that's what's happened with evolution in the brain. It started somewhere. Started way back when, 100 million years ago and more, when reptiles developed the reward pathway. If you can remember that session, it's a primitive decision-making system that lives... This is a crappy version of the brain, okay? From the side. So you're looking out the front like this, and then you go down to the brainstem like that. Right, so right deep down at the bottom here, there's this reward pathway. And it's there because what happens with the brain is it's gone layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. Now, mostly we think of ourselves as our smart human brain. My brain is the brain that understands how to drive a car and that can look at the stars and wonder about the septillion stars in the sky. Not billion, not trillion, not quadrillion, not quintillion, septillion, okay? And so that part's the human part of the brain. Lots of other parts of our brain, they're not so unique. They're not so special. Dogs have got it, and lower animals. Way down here in the reptile part of our brain, it's not so smart. Has anybody ever had reptiles as pets? Yep. Yeah. Yep. Could you teach them to do tricks? No. Did they come when they were called? No. Come over here. Come over here, Lizzie. Come over here, Lizzie. They scarcely pay attention to you. So they don't bond very well to you. That's a lizard part of their brain. We've got that part of a brain too. We've got a lizard part in our brain. And if you think about it, that's logical and obvious because we've evolved in the same way as we've got 5 digits on the end of our limbs, like lizards have. We've evolved, our brain has got a lizard part. The story for fundamentalist Christians, if you talk to them about this, is God's not wasteful. He created that part of the brain and then he used it again in humans. That's what evolutionists, people who believe in evolution, believe about the brain, right? That it's slowly evolved over hundreds of millions of years. And so we've got traces of reptile and mammal and primate, even higher order monkeys in our brain, in the way it functions. So you've got all of that. So we've got a lizard inside us. And lizards don't speak English. They don't understand language. So when I bring my dog here, sorry I didn't bring Maggie today. Sorry I didn't bring Maggie today. But when Maggie knows her name, she recognises me. You hear a howl when I go outside. You go, there's my master, I love him. That's because mammals have got this connectedness part of the brain. They like to join together with other mammals. They like to hang out. It's cool to be here together. And dogs love that. Dogs love being with you. They love rubbing up against you. They get jealous. Maggie does. My dog gets jealous when I give my wife a hug. She wants to get in between. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, there's a bit of loving going on here. I'm in for that, right? And recovery, the way you're being taught it, uses that primitive mammalian connectedness to help you stay sober and happy. Get in the pack. Get in the middle of the pack. Who do the predators get?
The outside people.
The ones on the outside, the stragglers. Get in the middle. Get connected. That's what we here at the Sydney Retreat, that's what we want for you. We want for you to be connected to other people in recovery. That feeling of being alone, of being isolated, of being the only one. You know that feeling? Yeah. And it's different in here, isn't it? Because you connect with other people and you share your stories and you begin to understand and you feel good that, there's Mitchell that I told my story to and he was really understanding about it and he told me some of his story and you connect. So that's using your primitive brain to help you to stay with the pack. But this lizard sucker, he's not talking English. He's not coming when he's called. All these different parts of the brain, they're all connected. So you've got your reptile part and your mammal part and your primate part and your human part. And they're all connected. So that when you think a thought, when you think, I'll just walk over to the other side of the blackboard, the whiteboard now. Okay, when I think that thought, I've got to go, okay, that's a thought. I'll put it into words and so the thought's in here, smart human brain, and then it goes to the word parts to make the words, goes back and forwards. Yes, I know what those words mean. I know what I want to do. I know what the concept is. Yes, let's do that. And then it goes to the motor parts of the brain. And then you walk. And so, of course, all this happens completely seamlessly, doesn't it? When you say, oh, I'm going over there, you don't think, oh, motor part of brain, please, connect. Send message to motor part of brain. No. It all happens seamlessly. So in the same way, you have made decisions about your life, crucial decisions about whether you'll have the first drink or drug, and then whether you'll continue on after that. And this part of the brain, this reward pathway, has been influencing that in the background. So here's where Dr. Silkworth was right. It's a physical thing. It's part of your physical brain. And it's been distorted. As you pour more and more chemicals on it, it says, yes, I want it, yes, I want it, yes, I want it, more. and more and more. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that's all in the background. You're not even thinking about it. It's like your wardrobe, the clothes inside it. If you're always at the pub whenever there's a promo for the next type of booze, well then you've got, you know, your beer shirt and you've got your whiskey shirt and you're advertising booze all the time. A lot of people are like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
They swap their t-shirt from their beer shirt to their whiskey shirt to their bourbon shirt to their vodka shirt, whatever. But you're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about it with your smart part of your brain. You're just doing the next thing. Has anybody ever driven to work on the weekend when you didn't mean to? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. All right. We know about that one, don't we? And why does that happen? That's not some deep, dark, Freudian thing that says, oh, I feel more comfortable at work, I'm in power at work, and so, nah. It's just an old habit that's deeply ingrained, where we've got a deeply ingrained habit to drive that way. You get in the car, you turn right out onto the highway, you're heading down the highway towards work, forget to turn left to go to the shops, which is where you were intending to go, you just keep going the same way. In broad terms, that's called a neural pathway. So you've got a bunch of things that are connected, one connects to the other, connects to the other, connects to the other, and it sort of happens automatically. Some of your life can be understood like that, things just happening automatically. Some drinkers have told me, life just happened to me. I didn't decide to do it, it just happened. And now, with this old reptilian brain influencing you, in the media we have influencers. And you have somebody who's got a new outfit and it's just like, oh, here I am. Oh, did you notice my new outfit? And so that's supposed to influence you. The other thing they say is nudging, that they nudge you towards a certain product. Just push it that way. Your reptile brain is your internal influencer. It's saying what you like. Having become dependent on a substance, having been hooked, having your addiction in place, then it's like, but I don't like those people. Those square heads, those rubber heads. I don't like hanging out with them, because your reptile brain's saying, you better get over there because they're holding. They've got the good stuff. Don't go over there. Don't hang out with Johnny Sober. No. No fun there. And so that's in the background, influencing you all the way. Influencing your every single decision. And it's not speaking English. It's not going to change just because you want to. Has anybody here in the room tried seriously to change their drinking and drug using habits?
Yes.
Show us hands. Yeah. Okay. Everybody has. You don't come here otherwise, do you? No. You don't come here unless you know the 4 horsemen of the alcoholic apocalypse. They're in the AA Big Book. Terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair, they surround you. You're scared because your life's out of control. You're bewildered because you don't know what to do about it. You're frustrated because you've tried over and over again and it's not changing. What is there to do but give up and despair? This new way of life tells you that it's not only mental, it's physical. And people can easily think, oh, I'm responsible for my behaviour and my decisions and so on, but I'm not responsible for being 5 foot 11 and a half inches tall. I'll never be 6 foot tall. Boo-hoo. Right? Okay? That's life, isn't it? That's how tall you are. You can't change it. It's my body. It's a physical reality. Can't change it. Okay? That's what Silkworth was trying to get through to his patients back in the 30s. He's saying there's something. Maybe it's a physical allergy that makes you different, that means that you can't drink like other people. Now we know it's the reward pathway. The reward pathway deep down in a part of the brain with which it's impossible to communicate, except by nefarious means, meaning drugs. The drugs get in there and influence it, other things. You only have to look at advertising. You just look at advertising, all advertising is going, bright and shiny, in your face, really loud, whatever. That's what advertising's doing, to try to say, wake up, reward pathway, something good's going to happen. Or this is really exciting. Your reward pathway fires off when there's something new, exciting, fantastic that you've got to remember. Remember, this is what it says. This is wow. And then you keep chasing it forever. Been there, done that, huh? Yeah. All right. The key thing that we're learning today about is how our brain is not just a human brain. It's a human brain and a primate brain and a mammal brain and a reptile brain. All together, all the parts talk to one another. Some parts in the old brain are highly influential. They've done studies that show that even though you don't notice something, a subliminal message, a frame of a movie picture or even less, they've done studies, the brain still fires up. The emotional parts of the brain fire up because the reptiles noticed it. You know that time you relapsed and you said, I don't know why I relapsed. Everybody goes, oh yeah, he doesn't know why he relapsed. He doesn't know why he relapsed because he got a subliminal message or whatever happened, found himself with people who just looked at him a certain way, and it's like overwhelming desire comes. Action happens thoughtlessly. Now, and so these are physical pathways that are in your brain now. If that makes you feel really bad and a bit despairing, that's sort of good. The sort of goodness about it is to say that this requires radical action. The real reason behind the doctor's opinion was to say, if you're bodily and mentally different from your fellows, maybe you have to do something different. Embrace total abstinence. That the fiddling and faddling around the edges, at this time it'll be different. I'll get somebody to make sure I don't drink. I'll just drink with the Christians. I'll only drink with my wife, whatever. Doomed to failure over and over again. You've done all the experiments, that's why you're here. You don't come here to a place like this until you've done those experiments on yourself. You've used your human will and tried to impose it on all your brain, and your reptile said, no thanks, no thanks. You give me that stuff and I go nuts. So the whole point of this is to take you to the place where you're saying, I give up. I give up. To get the gift of desperation.